Hello, I'm Francis Sealey from GlobalNet 21 and Enfield Voices, and I'd like to welcome you to this webinar today. The webinar we're doing especially because of the crisis that we are all facing. And what we're going to do today is look at the value of social networks. And social networks do a lot to bring people together and engage them. And what we want to do is look at social networks in a time of crisis and how valuable they can be. And of course, we are facing the crisis today of coronavirus, COVID-19. And this is making everyone anxious and fearful. And many people are suffering isolation and loneliness. So what we want to do is look at how social networks can help people locally and indeed globally to bring people together and to tackle some of these problems that people face, and especially those who are finding themselves in social isolation, like I am, for example. And to help us with this, we've got Gary Kousoulou, who's from Loving Enfield, which is a large social network in an area that I live in. And with Gary, we also have Cowley-Smith. She's going to join the conversation and she'll have some questions she'll be putting to Gary as well. So I think both of these people will help us a great deal to understand the value of social networks. Okay, so let's begin and start this webinar now. And the first thing we did is to ask them both a bit about the social networks that they have formed and the work that they do.
I'm a dad of four. I'm well-travelled. I'm a qualified optician. I love people, and I think that's fundamental for this particular talk. Social media is people. It's based around people. The minute that we forget that, then I think that's where some people fail. So I love for people. I love for talking. At school, they said to me, Gary, all you're good for is talking, son, and I've made a living out of that. So that's me. I've been deeply invested in social media for over 10 years, and maybe I'll have the opportunity to tell you, but I taught it at the Enfield Enterprise Agency. It's got to be 12 years plus, for free for 2 years.
So tell us about the Loving Local as well, the big...
Yeah, Loving Local. It was my opticians group, actually. It started life as Good Looking Optics. It got to about 3,000. And then I changed it to Good Looking Happy People. It then grew to about 10,000. And then it, because Harry Williams, him and I spoke, he's my neighbor. He said, I'd love to help you with this group you've got.
And what were you trying to do with it?
Sorry?
What were you trying to do with it?
Nothing. I wasn't trying to do anything particularly, just engage with local people. I didn't really have an end game at all. It was just about engaging with people and talking and being community. So Harry said, come on, let's do something more serious with it. But the first thing we've got to do is rename the thing, because it's a ridiculous name, Good Looking Happy People. So I went kicking and screaming and changed it. And yeah, there you go. And now we exist to help local businesses, help the community. We do training. It's good. It's great.
Joy, tell us about yourself and Enfield Matters.
Okay, so my career predominantly is in law. So I've been in the legal world for many years now. I own my own company called Studio Valuations. I value fine art and antiques. So I've been doing that for many years, and also I'm an admin for the Antiques Roadshow. Andy McConnell, he specialises in glass, so I'm quite active in the world of antiques, and which is my passion. But my other passion is social media. So what I did was 2 years ago, I formed a community group called Enfield Matters. I can't believe, it just seems like I've been with this group for years and years, but it is only 2.5 years that I've been doing it for. So what we do is we help people in the community. We we guide people on where to go for help, whether it be with the council services, and also we share a lot of events. So, there's a serious side to Enfield Matters where we do help people. We work closely with many organisations like Enfield Council, various charities that we help as well. Also, I run a virtual networking group. So I do a virtual networking group once a month for local businesses, and you can all jump onto that. And we tend to let that go for a couple of days, and then we say no to businesses. So we don't really allow businesses onto the group.
Okay, so you do a hell of a lot, and it's really great what you do, what you both do.
So Gary, if you could choose one social media platform, what would it be? Mine is Facebook and Instagram, but I basically operate on Facebook. What would your choice be?
Well, something maybe you know about me, Joy, is I love playing chess. After the first 5 moves, there's over 6 million combinations. I love complexity. I love things coming with no manual. And the complexity of Facebook, I love. That it's got groups, it's got pages, it's got your individual page. I love, you go down a little rabbit hole. But for me, my favorite social media platform is Twitter. And it just dropped out of the top 10, actually, which I'm quite sad about.
Well, that surprises me, because I always see you on Facebook, and
yeah, well, I
don't really engage with you on Twitter.
In my will is my Twitter handle. It's been valued at £10,000.
Oh wow!
But yeah, it's at Opticians. If anyone wants to join me on there, I just think the speed that Twitter comes from. I'm the official optician for the BBC. And I've been going to the BBC for a long time. And you walk into the BBC, you'll see all the journalists on their screens. And years ago, there would be like one person on Twitter. When you walk in now, practically every other screen has Twitter on it. Because the beauty of the BBC is they need to confirm a story by 3 sources. They might do it on 2, but they need 3. And Twitter is one of the sources. Osman bin Laden, you remember when he was assassinated, is the best way of saying it. The news was broken on Twitter. I remember the first cabinet reshuffle that was on Twitter, and I thought, wow, that's different.
So I gather you like Twitter. But I've got that point. You really like Twitter. But tell me, I mean, you both are very social media savvy. You've been doing it. You love it. It's part of your life. Now we're in a time of crisis with the coronavirus, where more and more people are going on social networks. It must be difficult for quite a lot of them. Not all of them. A lot of them are taking it, like ducks to water, but a lot of them are finding it difficult. And Gary, you often talk about a digital mindset. How easy is it to get that digital mindset for those people who are now trying to use social networks?
That's a massive question. The mindset of a baby boomer, and that's those that are 50 and above, is things need to come with a manual. Pressing a button could actually create chaos. When you have a digital mindset, you really don't mind pressing buttons and exploring and making errors. You know that you're not as risk averse. So people that do have that digital mindset are half scientist and half creative. As far as social media is concerned, there is a platform for you. Each one has a different etiquette. And if we were to go back 100 years and say to somebody, look, there's going to be this thing called electricity. And electricity will be able to toast. You'll be able to make some toast on there. It will drive a car and it will make light. They'll think that you're bonkers. So it takes a while for human beings to adjust to new conditions. So social media, if you paint it with the same brush for each platform, you're making a huge mistake. So if you like video, YouTube is for you. If you like words, then Twitter is more for you. If you like engaging with people that are slightly older than Facebook. There's something called House Party, which you can put a ton of people in and just all go crazy with a house party. Instagram it's instant, very, very quick, beautiful. It has to be beautiful. You want to sell a product, then that would be Pinterest. So each platform deserves the respect of understanding how it works.
But Gary, the problem is, by the way, I went on House Party and got off pretty quick. But it was an amazing thing. But, you know, you say that, you say it takes time, but there are lots of people using it for the first time. How can you help them not feel that it's a long journey so that they can engage quickly?
Well, we need to talk about specific platforms. We need to show social media some respect. You use Twitter completely different to you use Instagram. So you first need to find your platform that you're comfortable from. The first
older people won't use Instagram or Snapchat. They'll probably use Facebook and so on. So, I mean, they'll probably use Skype or Facebook. So how would you help them with that?
Because well, the very first thing that I've seen over the years is people that are not tech savvy trying to use the social media from their desktop. That's the first mistake. They're all mobile friendly. All of them have been built so you can do it on you can play around and you can engage on your phone. Most of the functionality is wiped off when you use a desktop. The very first thing I would say is start using it from your phone. I've got some lovely clients. They teach dyspraxia, and they're in their late 60s, maybe early 70s. And they've been struggling for years to understand how it all works. The minute I put them, and they had iPhones, both of them. The minute I showed them how to use it on iPhone, it was like a eureka moment for them. The first piece of advice I'll give you is use your phone, because that's social media at the beginning was all desktop, and it's changed now. They're almost, it will be extinct on the desktop. Instagram is mobile friendly.
Okay, so yeah, they need to learn to use their mobile, their tablets, and yes, desktop if they want to. I like the desktop. I'm old-fashioned, you see, on that sense, but I use all the others. But Joy, you often say, and you know, maybe this is something you wanted to talk to Gary about, but maybe you can answer it yourself, that you've got to be careful if you're on social media of dividing your personal stuff from your business or your community stuff. So you need personal pages and business or community pages. Is that something you feel strongly
I think
about?
there is. I think you've got to have a big separation. But you just can't help yourself though, because I find that if someone messages me or I see some posts, it's all part of being an admin. I find that I can't really separate myself too much from helping the community, because we get so many posts. But now what we've done is we've actually turned off our automatic posts. So now we have to actually verify the posts that go onto the group now. So that's quite hard work in itself, because if we don't allow them on the group, we've then got to message that person back. So it is a job in itself, actually. Running a community group is hard work. It really is, and does take up a lot of your time. But what I tend to do is I do walk away from my phone. I think that's really, really important. And I probably put it down for about an hour, a couple of hours.
The other thing is that, you know, the important thing about developing a community network where people get together is building an audience. How do you do that?
I think it's also being very friendly and just putting it out there as well. Like, say, for instance, since the crisis has been going on, I've been doing regular posts by engaging with people, asking what they're going to be doing today, what have they done, are they going to be taking up any hobbies, perhaps in this time where, you know, there is no one working or you can't go out. Perhaps now's the time to do all those things that you could never do before. So I find that on a personal level it's important to engage with people. Yeah.
Okay, Gary?
Yeah, if you look at the mechanics of how you grow a group, on some weeks we might grow 200 new people And that's incredible. It's amazing. But you've got to look at how that works. These things are done by computers, not by human beings. So let's say, for example, Joy, who is a social influencer, makes a comment on a post. A select amount of people will see, a percentage will see that post. Joy has a massive influence. She makes a comment. A proportion, maybe as high as 5% of her following will see that. Now, if you comment on the same thing and you two are unrelated, you're not connected, the algorithm is excited by that. It thinks, wow, this is a great piece of content, because two people that are not connected are commenting on the same post. That then creates a larger reach. If two people connect on the same comment that are connected, it doesn't arouse the algorithms as much. If you want to reach far and wide, you need engaging comment. That is likes, shares, and comments. So if you're making a post and it's 2-3 people have commented, then it won't go that far. If hundreds of people have made a comment, or they've shared it, or they like it, then their friends see it, and then it goes viral. And you've got to be careful with that.
Well, I did an interesting post only yesterday. I posted, just to get away from the coronavirus, I posted post your pets. So everybody engaged on this post posted their pets, and I think I got about 240 comments. People either commenting or posting their pets. So I think if you just find...
That happened to me, by the way. I had the cat come up on the table. I shut the door so he doesn't. And when that happened, I got a huge number of comments. He was far more popular than me. Gary, I mean, we've talked about social networks, but now we've got this coronavirus. You know, what do you think how important are social networks now? They seem to be becoming more important. And how can they help us get through this crisis?
I want to cast our mind back that 12 or 13 years, standing at the Enfield Enterprise Agency and saying to the business people, this is important. And they'd look at me like, are you crazy? It's just for kids. So I saw this, call it dumb luck, but I saw this a long time ago. Social media will take over the world. That it has as many negative influences as it has positive. And I think that as long as the administrators are managed, and not inciting violence and not inciting racism, and they're being monitored properly, the groups, just talking about just the groups, can be a force of good. Today on Loving Local, someone needed some shopping in the N3. We found it within seconds. Right now, when loneliness is going to be a serious problem for the senior citizens, and even young people get lonely. Seeing Joy's face has made me so happy. That's why I wish I could see all these other people's faces. It's centered around people. So right now, when we're in lockdown and we're not seeing our friends, it can make a really important
Absolutely.
role.
I think community groups, they have a responsibility to keep people upbeat and to stay positive. No one wants to see people posting negative things on the group. So we just try to keep as upbeat and positive as possible.
Well, you say that, Joy. There are people that thrive. I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins. And Tony Robbins often says, if you take glee in other people's misery, you're actually unhappy yourself.
Yes, that's true. Positivity is important. But, you know, there are lots of things going on in Enfield. There's Love Your Doorstep, for example, that has a lot of volunteers who are helping people get food and tackling loneliness, and that developed very quickly. Harriet Percy, for example, who comes from the local charities network, is offering cooking demonstrations online. There's a group in Edmonton, and there's COVID-19 community group helping people as well. And even there are classes online. Ruth Winston House, for example, which is closed, the Pilates class is now taking place online. So there are a tremendous number of things that are beginning to happen.
As you know, we do the Saturday chat show. I do the Saturday chat show with Gary and Harry because predominantly we are on social media. So there are ways of us helping people that are not on social media via their friends and family. But I think, you know, with regards to the Loving Local chat show, I think, you know, we are an important part. We play an important part in the community. We have guests on, you know, who are very informative. We have counsellors, bands, and the part that I play is talking about lovely events in Enfield and our lovely historical buildings. So, you know, it's a very, very upbeat, fun show, isn't it, Gary?
You sell yourself short, Joy. You're a ray of sunshine.
We love it, don't we?
Yeah, they are fun. Sometimes the hour goes by and I blink.
Oh my gosh, it does.
Believe it's 10 to 10
Well, we did a
11.
2-hour show 2 weeks ago. We did 2 hours.
Yeah, and at Christmas we did a 7-hour, 8-hour show.
8 hours.
Because one of my what I've been saying for years, reading the newspapers would be my dream job. I've said that to Leah. I said that to people that around me. So I get to wake up at 6:30. I go and buy the newspapers. It takes me about an hour and a half. I read through all the newspapers, and when I try and pluck out the best stories of the day, the most positive stories of the day, and because we're independent, we're not really on one side or the other. We tackle those difficult topics, like the bins locally or elections nationally, or yeah. So,
but when people, I mean, you've done this now for a long time, and I watch your Saturday show, and I think it's really great because. But you know, you must have gone through a learning curve. Some people who you know come on to Zoom or come on to video for the first time, they might find it terrifying. How do you get over that sort of nervousness the first time? I mean, Joy, for example, you're a natural, but were you scared?
No, I wasn't. Believe me.
Were you scared the first time you came on?
I was, and I remember the first time I went live, and it was meeting Gary in Art Town coffee shop. Do you remember that, Gary? And I remember saying to Gary, please, Gary, I don't want to go live. I'm absolutely petrified. And within 10 minutes, I felt completely at my ease. And I think because I think it's just the thought of worrying about what you was going to say, and indeed if you could say anything that was of any use to anybody, but there is always that worry. But yeah, it really doesn't bother me now going live, and you know, that's all thanks to Gary, because I don't think I would have done it if it wasn't for him. So he's my inspiration.
And Gary, I guess you had no problems about going live.
I think I'm going to put it down to being authentic. If you try to be somebody else, you'll be found out. You need to be absolutely 1000% authentic with what you're saying, because it comes out in your pores. If you are lying, it will be seen. We are not Oscar-winning actors and actresses. We can't fake it. I love the idea of the CEO, big CEO of a multi-million-pound company, writing down the mission statement. The minute you put a live camera in front of them, they fall apart because it's not authentic. If you stick to your authenticity and you've got integrity and you truly care about what you care about, it will come across. Some of the most powerful videos have been when I've been in the moment. I had my bike stolen.
I remember that.
Many years ago, all right? People still come up to me and say, I remember that video. So I was speaking to a friend. Somebody casually got on my bike and tried to ride away. I took chase. He made an error by riding into the road. A car smacked him. He went flying in the air. I broke 3 ribs because I was just behind him. I got up, tried to chase him, and then I realized I was super injured. The mayor of Enfield happened to witness it. So I'm in pain. He's ran off, and I just turned the phone on myself and I explained what had happened because of the passion, and it just went completely berserk. I remember my shop was broken into, and the rage and the anger and the emotions and then the sadness as it all unfolded. people were watching that, I put £1,000 reward, and we actually.
Oh gosh, I remember that. That was in the paper, wasn't it?
We found them, and you know what? It was the girlfriend of the robber that wanted to claim the £1,000.
All of that, I think, is really quite an interesting story, because it tells you what happens when you're on social media and so on. But, you know, because there are all these social media groups starting in every borough, and in our borough, a heck of a lot.
There are so many.
So many, yeah. How important is it for us not to be in competition with each other and to work together?
Yeah, absolutely. I think with us and Gary, we collaborate. We also collaborate with many, many community groups like Love Your Highway, Palmer's Green, Winchmore Hill group have got a community group. So we try to engage with them, because I think it's really important to collaborate, because you find out different things as well about not only about that community group, but what's happening in that part of Enfield. Like We Love Our Highway, they are based the other side of the A10, EN3. So it's interesting to find out what's happening there. So I think it's really important that we do collaborate with community groups.
So let me ask you, I mean, because we're in this time of crisis and people want to engage with each other and they're nervous about doing it, what advice would you give them?
You can get great comfort from knowing that there are other people in the community that care about you. It's a way of finding a source of information. You can't break anything. I promise you, if you press a few buttons, you can always undo everything you've done. I certainly would take any call anytime. If you wanted to call me and I'll talk you through how to use it, it really is child's play. And like Joy said before, once you've got that initial barrier out the way, then the rest is easy. Remember, it's not as complex as setting the video recorder used to be in the 80s. It's not as complex as camcorder. They've tried to make it as straightforward as possible. So there's some terminology you should know, I guess. So they call if we're just specifically talking about Facebook, you have a personal Facebook page, okay? This is ring fenced. The only people allowed to look at your personal Facebook page are the people that are your virtual friends. There is many security features on that. You can do it so nobody can find you. You can stay isolated and just have 5 friends, a friend in New Zealand, friend in Canada, and a friend in Ponders End. That's fine. So you've got your personal page, then you've got something called groups. Now, groups is something that it brings together people of a special interest. I'm very privileged to be part of Facebook's community of groups. And I've met people that have one group specifically for Indians that are expats that live in Germany. Wow, how neat is that? It's like 40, 50,000 people. There's women only rock climbers. So special interest groups exist everywhere, and that's what Facebook wants. It wants communities of people. So all of our groups, Enfield Matters, is people that care about Enfield. So that's how they work.
Yeah.
Now, a page is completely separate to that.
Okay.
A page is for business.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, and I think it's very important. It's very important to make that separation. I'm glad you said it's much easier than people think. And you talked about the security, which people do worry about. And Joy, how important is it not to worry about making mistakes? Because we all make mistakes.
It isn't. I think as soon as you start thinking about, oh gosh, making a mistake, that's when you are going to make mistakes. So you've got to feel comfortable about what you're going to be talking about. And I would say, if you are going to be doing a live video, I'd put some structure to it. Do a little bit of preparation maybe beforehand. Think about what you're going to say. But then sometimes saying that, I think if you go on sort of like very impromptu, things are just as good. I just think it's just a confidence thing. I was always, I still am. I don't think I feel confident about going live myself without anybody else, without Gary or Harry sitting beside me. I must try it one day. But yeah, I just think, just confidence.
Okay, well,
Don't worry about making a mistake.
no, you should
never
never.
laugh at you.
No, you should never worry about making a mistake, because there's no time make enough of them, and you know, you learn to like them after a while and laugh at them. Anyhow, I mean, thank you for doing this. I think people will learn a lot about social networking, the value of engagement, the value of making contact with each other, all the different groups that can form on social networks and people can take part in. And that's going to be really important in this time of crisis, when people are often alone, where they are socially isolated. So I think this has been, you know, really valuable indeed. So thank you. And we'll end this interview now.